Hello, DirtFish Rally friends, and welcome to our pre-Sardinia preview. Well, listen, we're in a great spot, aren't we? We're in the Hyundai service area, but we are delighted to have a very special guest with us, Oliver Solberg.
I thought you were talking about me.
No,
Yeah.
no, we'll put you in the corner for a minute or two, David.
I'll stay in the corner.
Great to have Oliver with us. Oliver, tell us first of all, why are you here?
Well, I'm not delighted to be here with you because I want to be on the stages, but nice to see you anyway.
It's a bit hot though, isn't it? You need to keep drinking in this heat.
What is that you're drinking, Oliver?
Monster.
Before we get going, we've just got to say we've just had the most surreal conversation with Oliver, asking how the Queen of England is, which is very nice of you. Do you think she's watching?
She might be, you never
never know.
I've heard she might be a bit of a... She's a fan of driving.
DirtFish.
Don't know, she might be, you never know. A good friend of hers is.
Who's that?
Lord March.
Oh yeah.
Well, so, folks...
He was also called the Duke of Richmond now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Keep up, Colin.
Jeez, here we go. I learn things from David Evans every day with David Evans.
And do you know he's a very good friend of Duke of Richmond as well, is Oliver Solberg.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Have you met him?
I was VIP driver for all his private guests on Goodwood.
But you have to tell us about that. That was the, if you like, that was the
Yeah.
Oliver Solberg exploding onto the
Yeah.
motorsport world, wasn't it?
It was, well, first of all, it was my first time there, so you never really know what to expect, and it was 200,000 people in his backyard, you know. And he basically told me that he had these private guests, and then
No. Tell us about the second corner in your dad's car. Come on, the run up
second
the
corner,
hill.
wow, that was basically flat.
But that was insane. I mean,
Yeah.
that almost, you were launched
Well,
anyway.
it's 7 million views on YouTube on that
Yeah.
video.
But it was, and I think the
crazy.
amazing thing was, it was now what, 4 or 5 years ago. You were a
Yeah.
baby. You were a baby when
Still
you
a
were in
baby.
that car.
Still
It was
a baby.
ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on. We're here to talk about Sardinia. What a week, folks, we have in front of us. It's going to be really, really challenging. I'll just quickly, before we start talking about the stages, I'll give you an overview of what to expect. 3 days of competition. Day one, we have 138 kilometres, round about 130 or so on day two, 40 odd kilometres to finish the rally off. It's a total of 308 challenging kilometres. But Oliver, you've had a look at all of the stages. Before we start talking about the weather, because I've got lots to say about the weather, I'm not a weather drama queen, by the way. Tell us about those stages. You've been out in Wrecked. How do they look?
Surprisingly rough, I have to say. I was. They haven't prepped the roads like long before the rally, so it was quite rough and very sandy, a lot of loose rocks. So I'm expecting a rough rally for the drivers, and of course it's going to be very tough in the cars. So I'm expecting some big challenges. On many stages, I don't think the road cleaning will be too bad.
Okay.
But of course you have the classic Sardinia stages where it definitely will be a big advantage to start in the back. But you have a few stages where it won't be a big difference because they're so loose and so sandy compared to before. Because before they've always graded them and kept them in nice condition. Now they're more loose and sandy. So I think we can expect a bit different Rally Sardinia than we are used to.
What's it like though when you've done the recce and you've been through all of that preparation and then no car to drive?
Well, it's a bit frustrating, I have to admit, but you know, it's part of the game of being young. You know, the plan all year was to share a car with Danny, and I was trying to get an R5 and try to do something, but there was no car available. And basically, I think it was important to do the recce, get the look of the stages, get the pace notes, and be ready for next year.
Yeah.
And also for me, I think it's important to be here this weekend to look how he works, how he does it, and. You know, I am a good friend with Danny. I like him a lot, so you know it's always fantastic
Second
to be
nicest
around.
driver in the championship.
Who's the nicest?
Who's the nicest?
Can't say, can we?
Oh yeah, never say, never. We've always got to give them something to aim for.
I
haven't we?
think I have to say Danny is one of the nicest
He
drivers
is.
in the
Yeah,
championship.
he might be
for sure.
joint nicest.
It is a very particular rally, this one, isn't it? And it does reward experience. And I think maybe that's where Hyundai might have a chance this weekend. A car at 95%, a driver at 100%, a driver who's got the experience of these stages. And we've got Tanak, a winner here. We've got Neuville, a winner here. We've got Sordo, a winner here. Could this be the turning point for Hyundai's season?
Absolutely, of course it could. Anything can happen on this rally, Colin. It's a rally that totally rewards patience as well, and that's what Sordo won here twice in the last 3 years because he was patient, because he didn't try and snatch it, he didn't try and grab it, and that's what Danny brings. You know, we saw it, but equally we saw in Portugal. He's patient, but then he found that speed in the last stage. So, absolutely, but by the same kind of token, it's not essentially it's not an outright performance rally, is it? So,
No.
you know, if you win here as Hyundai,
Yeah.
it's kind of masking still there could be some performance issues, but you're not going to have to wait long. Safari next, but then we're into the speed rallies, aren't we? You know, the Estonias and Finland.
But with this one, David, you know, it isn't a performance rally. David's absolutely right. But it's an atrocious rally. It's a rally where you want reliability.
Well, you know, it's easy to speculate. It's no point to speculate. You know, many people get quickly negative and so on. I think, you know, the weekend hasn't even started yet. So
Yeah.
what to expect or what to know? I think we just have to go into the weekend positive, and we drive and we see what happens. But I think, you know, the team has been working very hard to get over the problems, and for sure we haven't fixed everything. We can't do that over a week. But you know, the team is doing everything they can, and we just have to have hope. We have to believe. That's it. And you know, we have the 3 most experienced drivers in the championship. You know,
And
so for sure, I think they will bring that calmness to the team and to the rally. I think with a good approach, and we'll see what happens.
And Tanak did say after the test that they
found something.
they found stuff and had made steps. And it is. I mean, what realistically, if you'd driven Portugal and you'd come to Sardinia, what would you have looked for as a driver? What could you have done in that one day of testing that you had?
Well, I think it's difficult to say, but I think, you know, they were not too far off in Portugal. Still, we lack maybe the last speed, but I think it was more fine-tuning, getting to just learn the car more. I think, you know, we have not so much testing, and we just need to try all the options we have, try many different things, and try to be open-minded to go forward with different solutions and try to find the direction. And that's where we're still searching.
What we want to talk about, boys, is the weather.
Oh, that's
The
a difficult.
weather.
That is
The
difficult.
weather.
Oh, yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
this is going to be the interesting point this weekend, folks. We're down on the coast here in Alghero. We're in the lovely setup here at Hyundai Motorsport. We're on the balcony. There's a breeze blowing through. It's quite pleasant, but the stages run up in the hills. They're up in a big bowl high up on the plateau, and it gets hotter up there, and it might hit 40 degrees by Saturday.
You'll be so disappointed if it doesn't.
I think it could hit 41, 42 degrees.
40 degrees.
So the big question is, and you know, 40 degrees is fine, but 40 degrees with the amount of heat these new cars are generating in the cockpit, it is going to be an issue. There's no question about that.
Oh, it is, isn't it? I mean,
But to be fair, it's actually dangerous. You know, you saw already in Portugal, people are completely red, look like tomatoes, and really complaining, and the temperature was not really anything special there.
It wasn't.
And here you have such a strong sun,
40 degrees!
and it will be 40 degrees. You know, it can be actually dangerous. So we'll see what happens. But we've done a lot of work, all the teams and FIA, trying to do some quick solutions to get it going. But that may be just a few degrees. But still,
Quick
it's gonna be-
solutions are never ultimately
No.
good or great solutions or completely effective solutions, but quick solutions they have gone with. So what have they gone with, David? They've gone with coatings on the roof of the car to try and deflect the heat away. The problem though is the heat in the car, but I suppose they're saying maybe we can keep a little bit of heat from going into the car, but it's from it's
but
where it's
they're
coming
also
from.
trying to bring more air into the car.
More air
It's,
into the
it's
car.
mainly in the car where the heat
Yeah,
comes from, you know,
yeah.
with the exhaust
That's
in
it.
the car basically,
Yeah.
and just by the core driver. It's worse for the core driver than it is for us,
Yeah.
so you can actually feel the difference from right to left.
Is that
Can
right?
you?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But what the other thing they've done obviously is they've introduced a bit of shielding because so the problem is the positioning of the exhaust and then the manifold, and the manifold is right behind where the co-driver's feet are, which is why we heard in Portugal co-driver's boots melting.
Yeah.
That's just astonishing. But the other thing they're talking about, maybe allowing a bit more access to the drivers at the end of stages so they can get cold towels to put around their necks, plenty of water, all of these things, so important if we get 40 degrees.
I think at least now, as a first weekend with the proper heat, nobody knows what to expect.
Yeah.
I think it's better to be on the safe side.
Maybe they need a couple of
Bit of monster.
bit of monster.
But also, the one thing that we haven't really talked about and we should consider here is the fact that the teams have designed their cars. They knew this heat was coming. The teams could have included air conditioning in the cars.
They could have. They had the option
but
for
there's
that.
one reason that they didn't, and
Correct.
that's performance.
Yeah, weight.
Isn't it? So ultimately,
Right, but here's the
Yeah,
thing.
wait,
But another
exactly.
thing, Danny Sordo said again to me last night, David. He said, if my car was 5 kilograms heavier, 5 horsepower less, which is what it would be with air conditioning, my car would be better because I would perform better in the car.
But what I'm-
So the one outweighs the other.
what I don't want us to get into here, Colin, is that we're directing all of our ire and angst and frustration with the FAA.
No,
They
I
set
agree
the
with you.
regulations out. The teams have chosen to design and build
Correct,
their cars
correct,
that way.
correct,
They could have
correct.
built them. And you're dead right. Danny's dead right. You know, he would have probably brought more performance as a cooler driver. And, you know, but what the FAA could be doing is maybe allowing these cool suits.
Yes.
But that is allowed.
Is
I
it?
think. Or
Sorry, FAA.
We're not sure. We're not sure about that either. Let's move on a little bit from the weather and the 40 degrees and talk about who's going to win. Rovanperä was quite remarkable in Portugal, winning from the front. Now, they say you can't win from the front here in Sardinia. Ogier has proved it many times. Rovanperä he fears nothing right now. He fears nothing, no one, no stage, nothing. But can he do it again?
Of course he can. We've said already that anything can happen here. And you know, I was thinking back to when you were in the ARA Championship in Subaru. You were new to that championship, but immediately you were at home and that you were on top of your game, and you felt you could do anything in that car. As a driver, that's a pretty incredible feeling.
That's the thing, you know. I also talked with Oit about it. You know, when he was at his prime and super confident, and also myself a few years ago, when you are in that car that you feel super confident with, and you're like a one with the car. Yeah. It's easy. It sounds strange, but it's actually easy. Easier than driving slow with a car you're not comfortable with, and safer, because you can go on that limit, and you feel nothing really strange. And I think that's where Kalle is at the moment. And I think this weekend he had two options. Either he continues with his fantastic pace, and maybe it goes wrong, and he loses that confidence, or he maybe goes in an approach that he doesn't have to win. Maybe he plays it safe and goes for a podium, whatever, and keeps the confidence in him. You know, it can easily turn. So you need to be clever, and I think he has such a chance for the championship and such a lead that he doesn't have to.
No,
that's really interesting, though, isn't it? You know, he doesn't have to change. Will he change? You know,
I think he's been quite clear with this. All you know, since the start of Croatia. You know, we said at the start of Croatia, when do you start thinking about the championship? I've already started thinking about the championship. And it just all came naturally. It's exactly what you said. He got that feeling when he came to the power stage in Croatia and Portugal. Yeah, there were a couple of risks and a couple of moments. But actually...
Either you have that feeling, and then you just have to go for it. Because if you start hesitating on that feeling, that's when it goes wrong.
But here's the interesting thing. You mentioned Tanak there, and you mentioned that Tanak, at his prime, and I would have to say that was probably in that year in Toyota, would we say, was when he was at his prime? He had an air about him which almost intimidated other drivers, because you knew he wasn't going to make mistakes. You knew he was going to bang in the quick time stage after stage, and other drivers were almost forced into mistakes. Do we think that Rovanperä is approaching that sort of aura?
He's
you
not
think
approaching.
he's there? You think other drivers are having to respond to that form, and are maybe?
You know, if I can just talk for myself, okay, I'm not in the position to fight him. I'm not in the position to fight for anything. I'm here to learn. It's a different story, but you can notice that around with other drivers that they're actually trying to do everything, overdrive, overthink, and overdo to try to beat him, and they still can't beat him. So I think, as I said, when you are in that mode, it's easy.
Right, boys, we're getting towards the end of our preview. It's been fascinating, and we could talk with this young man for hours. We could maybe talk with him for a few more minutes.
It's been fantastic to talk with you.
1, 2, 3. I want a 1, 2, 3 from both of you. I'm going to ask you first, David, because you've thought about this already.
I haven't thought about it.
You have. I've seen your 1, 2, 3 on DirtFish.com.
Well, then what was that?
I can't remember either.
I think I went with Elvin first, Oit second, and Danny third.
Okay,
those three people will be on the podium in some way, shape,
Oliver,
or form.
1, 2, 3.
You know, my answer have to be political, you know, but I'm of course hoping for the best I can for the team. We really need it, and for sure Hyundai 1, 2, 3 wouldn't hurt.
That would be remarkable. I've gone with a win for Thierry, because I think Thierry will either win this one or pin it, and I think he'll win it. I think second will be Elvin, and third will be Rovanperä. That's my 1, 2, 3. So there we are, folks. Once again, a very big thank you to Hyundai for hosting us on their lovely balcony here above the service park in Alghero. A massive thanks to this young man, and a big thanks to our pseudo sponsors, because they ain't sponsors, but we'll call them that. Monster. Stick with us, folks. You know, we've got an awful lot to bring you from this rally this weekend. Myself and David and our cameraman Elliot will be out and about on the stages, around the stages, to bring you all the news as it breaks. Where do you go, David, for all the news?
DirtFish.com.
We'll see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye bye.